Hello and good evening. My name is Puvanraj and welcome to Khmer Times Crosstalk. This morning we witnessed the official launch of the Street Art Fest Plus Plus Khmer and Singapore edition, and there were representatives from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the International Corporations, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Arts and Culture, and the Singapore Ambassador was there to witness the signing of agreements between the Organising Committee, the venue owners, the sponsors and artists Fonky and Yu Chong. Today I'm joined by Vice President of the Organising Committee, Mr. Nick Tan, Fonky and Yu Chong. Welcome to Khmer Times Crosstalk. So Nick, let's start off. I'm sure our audiences will want to know what's the event about, how did it come about, who are involved and what do you expect from it.
So the Street Art Fest Plus Plus Khmer Singapore edition is really a celebration of street art, culture, arts, music, and heritage all into a single festival or event. And really the idea was really just to celebrate the relationship between Singapore and Cambodia for the last 55 years. But it's also a festival that we can have two great artists to come and collaborate to do street art that can tell stories. And while discussing with the artists, Fonky and as well as Yu Chong, I also learned a lot about the heritage and the culture in Cambodia. And I guess, through street art, through street performances, and combine these elements together, we can really bring a story, a message to the young generations about the culture of the two nations and obviously from Cambodia itself.
So the official launch was this morning, but when can we expect the exhibition for the art and the activities to take place?
So the event itself will be from 15th of February 2020 to 29th of February 2020. So it will be a 2-week long festival over 2 weekends, and the artists will be rain or shine doing their work and mural painting, and also with the community engagement on the location at WB Arena, which is down at National Road 2. And at the same time, we will also have our beneficiaries, which is Cambodia Children's Fund as well as Cambodia Living Arts, where they will have street performances and acts from both Singapore and Cambodia during the 2 weekends. And of course, we will also get different community engagement through the universities and students, and also the different various associations and clubs.
I see.
Yeah.
So just moving on to the artists now. Fonky, you're from Montreal.
Yeah, I grew up in Montreal.
Yeah. So can you tell us, about your art first before you go into, what you're going to bring to the project?
Okay, sure. Well, about my art, like I said, I grew up in Montreal. I was born in France, grew up in Montreal. Both my parents, I am Cambodian, and I'm based here. And what I'm gonna do during this festival is with Yves. I've been seeing his work also online, and then in Singapore he did a lot of good work. Is to bring. I do a lot of street art. Graffiti. I come from the graffiti more culture painting in Montreal, but then I came 7 years ago, started to travel around the country, paint around, and rediscover my culture and my roots, my heritage and the aesthetic of the country, and infuse it into the world that I do. So yeah, the idea, we started brainstorming of things that we're gonna do, but a lot, for me, for example, I'm a lot inspired from obviously the temples, the Angkor Wat, other carving, but to bring it and interpret it in my own way, and then mix it with some elements, from Singapore, or different other elements that we can see here in Cambodia, and just cook it together and see what we can showcase.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the both of you had already had the brainstorm sessions to come up with ideas and beforehand. Yu Chong, I was told by Nick that you have arts all over Asia and Singapore, which I've also witnessed some of your arts, street murals and everything. Can you speak a bit more about your art and what inspires you to come up with that?
Okay, thank you. Not all over Asia.
I mean,
first, let me just introduce myself a little bit more. I'm actually I'm a new artist. I was an accountant for over 25 years, and only last 1.5 years I call myself an artist. But in the last 3 years, of which overlapping with my accounting work, I have been creating many murals, especially in Singapore and the region. So I normally try to create artworks that are site-specific in the location. For example, in Singapore, I will want to paint the culture related to Singapore, especially on the streets. So normally I will walk the streets many rounds and observe what people do, and then I paint those scenes on the walls, but with a twist. Normally they go back a few decades or even centuries, and mix them also with present day or futuristic scenes. That's my trademark, and there's a lot of details, so people may remember things. For example, utensils, what they used a decade ago, or computers, large monitor boxes, versus what we use today, like mobile phones. So I kind of can mix scenes together and make it very whimsical. Site-specific also, because let's say I paint in Malaysia, I will also paint scenes related to Malaysia or India. So no exception here. In Cambodia, I will also give touches of Cambodian street scenes in my to be created works, but with the same whimsical touches of past, present, future, people in Cambodia, also mixed with cultures in Singapore.
I see. What interested me, besides the inspiration that you got, which is also very interesting, was you came from an accountancy background, which is financials, and you are doing arts now. What interested you to pursue arts as well?
I have always loved arts as a little boy. I didn't really start just 3.5 years ago. we all start as a little boy doing crayon, color pencils on papers. So that was how I started. But in Singapore, you tend to be very practical. So I followed that practical route to become an accountant. So now that I have kind of some establishment side of my family already, I have decided that it's also time for me to explore and rediscover my art and develop it.
I see. And you must have gotten immense support from family members and friends to pursue this in a bigger scale. Right.
Especially my family.
Yeah, especially your family. Phong Ki, how did you want to get in? Like you said, you're from the graffiti. You did graffitis, and to me, graffiti has always been very artistic because they do add a finer touch to city. Besides all the concrete jungle that we see. What prompted you to pick up the pen or pencil?
I think same when I was younger. My oldest memory is me being like 2 years old, drawing paper on walls at my place, at my house. And then like 14 years ago I discovered the culture of graffiti, from street tagging but to muralism and exploring that. I got introduced to more colors, to exploring, and it got me to travel. It's a full lifestyle, and then it transformed into what I call my career, but I live fully out of, for me, the painting that got me into different projects, sometimes more fine arts. It's not graffiti or street art anymore, but it's all influenced by all the travel, all the paint that brought me to different places and to this project now. So what was your question before?
Like what prompted you to pick up?
Oh, I think it was just, sorry. Well, when you were 15, actually, it's just a friend who showed me, pick up a name, let's go around, let's paint. And then I just became addicted to it. I after that, I studied, I was in film production, film animation, but I was always doing more and more painting when I had more cans. And then little by little, somebody asked me to paint here, to paint there, and then there's more and more projects. Sometimes we curate, and now it became, we bring artists to create, to do different projects. So it really evolved into different forms, even though it stays at the end I paint.
I see.
And I like that this context, for example, with celebration of the friendship between our two nations. At the end we'll be painting, but it's brought in a whole different context here in Asia and Cambodia. And that's why over the years, after 7 years of doing a lot of back and forth, I found it really interesting to be more focused now in Asia and contribute my brick to the history and the culture here.
I see.
By scale.
Interesting. Nick, just coming back, we've had street food, events in every country is very common. And in Cambodia, as long as I've been here, in the short period of time, I've seen other art exhibition, art convention that has given a platform to younger artists. What will make Street Art Fest plus the Khmer Singapore edition different, and what do you think is going to be the impact that's going to follow from having this scale?
I think there are a few different factors. To begin with, I think this Street Art Fest plus is different in that way that it actually have two artists from two different background and culture and history doing mural painting or art in an integrated way, right? And they bring along with their own stories and knowledge of the culture.
Mm.
So to me, that is already the first difference. Second will be, of course, with street art comes street performances with our beneficiaries, right? And also, street performance from Singapore and Cambodia in the festival itself. And of course, when you have the performances, you will have music, and you will also have food with the different street food. So it all combines together. But let's not deviate that it is still a street art festival.
Mm.
So while we celebrate the different performing arts and the different activities that's going on, it is still the artwork that the artist is really going to be capturing and encapsulate on that mural wall itself that will actually motivate and hopefully inspire a lot more the younger generations in the provinces, or aspiring artists that, to come out to do more. I remember a story that Pongi always that just shared with me recently that, like when he was a teenager, he aspired to be an artist and he saw someone on magazine. He never thought it could be possible.
Yeah,
and
just like he was traveling, Sad the Globe Painter, the magazine, and traveled the world and was sketching everywhere. It was like, oh, I can paint and not just travel around my city, but around the world. And for me, that was a way to travel. See, it got me to meet Yip if I wasn't about in a lot of different people. So that's for me a tool. And for me, art, whatever, can be performing art, visual art. These tools are a way to create bridges between us, humans or nations, and to have a playground for a dialogue to share our experience through our different senses, right?
Exactly. And imagine all this coming together in a single festival will really be the difference. Of course, there will be the final catalyst that will make this really different is with the support of the different associations, the ministries themselves, as well as the embassy in Singapore. So with all this coming together with tourism into place, we're hoping that this will be a more mainstream commercial kind of a street art festival that can really promote and reach out to the mass media rather than, like the usual, which I've seen some of the festivals or rather events is really very small scale and it can't really bring out that message.
Yeah. Speaking of messages, and like you mentioned, it's going to create dialogue, right? Yuchong, what is the message that you would like to pass on to the artists in Cambodia, or perhaps even people who have not seen your art or Phongke's art, but people who are very curious? What is the message that you want to pass on through your art?
Okay, normally my arts are very straightforward, no hidden messages. It's just scenes, especially street scenes. But it is also inspire the people on the street who just walk past and observe it. And in this case, the visitors come into the festival to see it and interpret it and re-inspire. I hope they will get inspired and also aspire to do what they dream to do. For example, I have never thought that I will have an opportunity to come to Cambodia to work with Phongke and also to paint with the community.
Right, excellent. Phongke, what are your thoughts on that, especially being Cambodian heritage yourself? And we, here, a lot of these restaurants now, there's a trend that more and more people are adopting and calling in artists. They are paying artists to decorate their wall, and that's a great initiative. Friends of mine who are running restaurants here, I go and I say, oh, that's an art.
And it's amazing to see. I remember 7 years ago, besides traditional graffiti writers come and bomb, but people can't really relate because it's like a different culture. That's why when I came here, I'm like, okay, I can't do the same, right? I want something that reflects my culture since there was barely no graffiti scene here besides my friend Pip and Liza Mam doing some artwork and my friend Stones Rock, who is Khmer and still really both, the three of them really active street artists. But we're like, oh, so that's why we started picking up into digging into my culture. And for me, in terms of identity and pride of being, yeah, I'm born in France, I'm French, I'm Canadian, also Cambodian, citizen of the world. But doing this project for me, it really takes me because I'm just the tool of the tools. You know, I'm just showcasing what I see around me through my own filter. Whether I do a lot of portrait, also the everyday people, or whether it's statues or something from a culture mixed. Would say it's not just exclusive to Cambodian, but just to show. I think there's a sense of pride that you have to give pride to your work, not to yourself. It's not like an ego thing. But then I do what I do because when I was young, I was exposed to a lot of it in the streets, and then some of them became my mentors back in Montreal. And you just need to be exposed. It's in the street. It's up to the public. It's different than fine arts in galleries. That it's different. But when it's exposed to the public, you just need to see it for a kid to pick up and say, "Oh, it's possible too." To do it right. And if you can inspire different also sectors. And now, like you say, in restaurant, even me, I'm like with all the change that's happening in Phnom Penh, people, I hope is gonna. And I see it already that there's more demand and people, it opens some dialogue or some opportunities for different people. Yeah.
There's plenty of budding and emerging artists, young artists in schools, in
Yeah.
colleges, but there's also this fear that if I'm going to pursue something, law or business or whatever that's serious, there's going to be this thinking that being an artist, it may not pay or it may not open up opportunities.
Yeah.
What would you say to young people who are keen to pursue this, but they're also very scared?
Yeah, but I feel, because I was scared too, but I, of course, grew up in a really different background, but society in general is the same. Be a doctor, and we need doctors, we need everything, but also Khmer people are really creative people, really creative, really open-minded, and just me, it became, from my personal experience, organically it became a job. So I try to fit into different sectors. Still, I was in film, film animation. As long as I draw, I'll be happy, maybe film animation. But just because I was passionate about it, it just, you tune to what you're meant to do, and then things align. Still, in my head, I'm still doing the same thing than when I was 15, but then it goes into different scale. So for the new generation of people who are scared, we're talking about that yesterday, it's hard to sometimes cut the noise, and not just in art, in general, all of us, it's hard to cut the noise, to be able to listen to yourself, to put the love and your passion into your craft, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a doctor, if you infuse the spirit, your soul, like the artist soul, into what you do, everything is a way of art, everything that you do, I should put pride in it.
Yeah,
So
I have to agree.
Yeah.
Coming back to you, Chong.
Yes.
What would you have to say to those who are already in a long time career, serious careers? As Asians, you would know that making the leap is a very fearful thing, especially to something from the arts. How important do you think it is as an artist to encourage people, go for your dreams, even if you're a doctor or a lawyer? How important it is as a role of an artist to encourage them. You can still pursue art, but also do the same thing.
That's a very tough question, because I myself have gone through that same phase, and that was why I took so long, 25 years, even in Singapore. I think times have changed. Things, the information flow and the knowledge, getting to learn new things is much easier than many years ago. Including Cambodia and the region. So if you feel like you want to do something, even though you may be in a very comfortable profession now, I think first you must take that very first step. Do it first. Even while just like me, I was doing accounting while also dabbling with art. And then when you feel more comfortable, more confident, you can go full force into it. And it's exactly what I had done.
I actually agree. It's like I have my friend, which is my dentist. After work, if you go to his dentist, you will see movie posters, and then you'll see some frame photography artwork. It's done by him, and it is a good example of someone who already is a professional in the industry, but embracing art as a habit. Like, and I agree with what Yu Chong has mentioned, is that you just have to embrace it as part of everything. And Fong Kim made a very good statement on saying that, you know, art is in everything. The moment you take pride in everything you do and make it as an art, it becomes beautiful, it becomes a piece, right? Try imagining, like, you know, if you can't, I mean, I'm just saying, not everybody is as talented as both of them who can really paint, right? But there's so many ways to get involved in arts.
Yes.
You know, you could always be, you know, someone who, like myself, I'm just supporting and creating events, right? Bringing a message. You can have, you know, people who are filmmakers or animations, right? The legal aspect, art needs legal, right? We have legal counsels who are art trained. And you need, it's actually an entire, you know, community or ecosystem where we need professionals from all walks of life to come together to just, you know, embrace arts and culture, so that at least the message, or rather the history, is preserved.
Yeah, I think grabbing the opportunity is very important. So if visitors come to the festival, I hope that they get inspired, also grab whatever opportunity they see in front of
If
them.
you start rolling a ball, the ball keeps on
Yes.
rolling, but it's not exclusive to one sector.
Yes.
It's a common effort. You need a bit of everything, everyone.
And we'll also have to like thank the, you know, the support that, you know, your event has received, you know, from the, especially the Singapore ambassador. He must have been really passionate about pushing this forward as well.
Indeed. If to be honest, this whole festival, like, without Ambassador Michael Tan, without the support from the different various members, like Stella, which is our president for the organizing committee, the Singapore Cambodian Club, the two artists, you know, kindly supporting their time, it would not be possible. I mean, honestly, festivals like this, it's really not something that, oh, okay, I want to do it, I just, you know, do it. It's not like that. And we are not really a commercial entity that is driven commercially. So it's really just to celebrate, you know, street art and you know, culture in one festival. So really, I have to thank, like, the ambassador of Singapore, Michael Tan, to really be supporting this whole and initiating this whole project and event.
But I've got one more question. What's your takeaway? What's your takeaway is going to be, or what's your hope for this event that's going to come in? You know, it's going to happen in February. I think there's going to be a big interest in it. You know, I've seen big interest for, you know, art and, you know, whatever that's art in Phnom Penh. You know, the youth, the people of all walks of life have supported it. Even and I'm sure for 2 weeks there's going to be continuous support. So, but what's your takeaways going to be? What's your hope for it?
Well, just the fact now. Sorry, just the fact it's like the fact that it's like Singapore, Cambodia, but there's the local government that put the blessing on it. I wish there's more support from the local government, from the local. It comes from government, private sector, citizen, but yeah, to put more resources into art for artists. And I hope there's going to be more things happening around Cambodia. Because yeah, we saw it happening all around the world. There's a lot of street art festival or food festivals for people to gather. But hopefully, more exchange, more artists, people that get involved. They do it voluntary work, but people come, want to contribute. But then one thing leads to another. But I really hope it can inspire different to be that have all these ideas in their corner, but no. It can be done. We don't know how yet. We'll see it, but we know how. But it's in the process. You learn by making it through the process. It's a constant process. So I hope,
in this short few months that I've already made many Cambodian friends.
So the friendship is celebrated already. Same.
Or even Singaporeans living in Cambodia whom I've never known before. And of course, this trip I know more. So in the project itself and going forward, I hope to make more new friends in Cambodia. And I hope the visitors to the festival will also make new friends as a result of the mingling. And like Fonky said, they will cross-share and opens up many opportunities on both sides.
Some doors and give a good image too. There's a lot of different things happening in the country, in every country, but this is the pride, this is culture, right? Culture is for everyone.
Well, for myself, I mean, I will speak from the festival's perspective. Obviously, I will hope that this becomes a voice, a platform, and also a motivation for more people to come and support this street art festival, these initiatives. And with more people and more support from more ministries and more companies and everyone else, it's an ecosystem. I mean, you've asked me, I really hope that this becomes a annual event that can really and truly be celebrating street art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just before we wrap it up, the art scene in different countries, they experience different form of tumultuous journey. And in Cambodia, when being here, I've heard that there's so many artists and creative people from Battambang, the other provinces, a lot. But what are your hopes for the future in terms of the art scene, both of you? What are your hopes for the future?
Oh yeah, the art scene is real alive. People like in the camera they don't see, but the man behind the camera, I met him 5 years ago just by exploring the country and wanting to paint. And I went in Battambang especially. Hey, who wants to paint? We're searching for a wall. And my Nehru friend was there. It's good to see him today. But to see, we hope just because there's a lot, like I said, Khmer people, we're really creative, really hungry and positive. So I hope there's more artists and the different sectors they just come together, because it comes back to culture. And so there's more platforms happening, everybody profits now, more tourism comes also. Yeah, on my scale I saw the change in 7 years. Based from when I was younger, people, you're Cambodian, Angkor Wat, or the Khmer Rouge, that's it. Like, no, there's more. And when I started making documentaries about painting, but it's not about me painting, it's about what's happening around. I have friends every year that comes, we do artist exchange, different people are not artists. So just on my scale, I saw the change of a certain image. And then I see now, I meet the first generation born and raised Cambodian, where I remember your piece 7 years ago. And I started painting. And now these guys, they are the one who making the change here. They're born and raised, and they have their little crew, and they're painting, and they're real proactive. So that's gives me the fuel to keep on going and to have more. An ecosystem comes back to ecosystem. It grows positively. Yeah.
And Yu Chong, your art has seen more different homes besides just Singapore. Now Cambodia is going to be home to your art as well. More and more people. What are your hopes and for the future in terms of the art scene now? In different countries, especially
in Cambodia.
In Cambodia, Singapore.
Okay. In both Cambodia and Singapore, from my personal perspective, I think our art scenes are developing. It's not like mature, developing. And it's a good opportunity, means there are rooms to make it more vibrant, bringing things in a more structured manner, yet unstructured, to keep the vibrancy. And also the values of artists and their works also get much more appreciated and goes up, and more people consider to be artists, and then cross borders. So I hope that kind of vibrancy will happen and art becomes people's way of life.
I see. Just before we wrap it up, Nick, you are playing a very important role in this event. You, because of your visionary, the Singapore Ambassador, His Excellency Michael Tan's vision, you are giving a platform. So, do you think there's going to be more and more to Cambodia coming soon? Do you plan to come back and and help to raise more profiles of artists here and showcase more of their work?
Yeah, definitely. I've been here for 5 years, but I'm formally here to do my business for about 1 to 2 years. And this festival is really to me, is a very interesting platform. Because 5 years ago when I was here on a more like a social responsibility kind of a work, right? Still media, but it is different. But in this today, it's all about arts and culture. And with the support of everyone and this whole ecosystem, I really hope that we can be a platform and a voice to motivate and inspire more people to preserve art, preserve culture, through whichever media, whether it's modern art, through graffiti, performing arts, whichever it is. And with arts, you need support from the public. So therefore, it is actually a two-pronged approach. To support the artists, you need to support the communities, the people, to really make them understand and participate. So it's actually a two-pronged approach to make this really work. So definitely there's definitely going to be more things to come, and definitely going to be more work to be done. So like what Yu Chong say, when you have opportunities to do this, means there's a lot more room to improve, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's been really great, hearing insights from Yu Chong, from Fong Kei and Nick Tan. It's very refreshing to know that the art scene is still being alive, and it's going to be younger people is going to be inspired by your art and Yu Chong's art, and especially your role in bringing this platform to Cambodia, and hopefully next year. I'm very excited, honestly, and I hope more and more people will be coming to, in February, and not just Cambodians, not just Singaporeans, but around the world to see the art. And I think thank you for coming to Khmer Times, and I hope you enjoyed the.
Yes, sure.
It's been great. It's been very enlightening conversation.
Yeah,
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Very awkward.
Yeah.
Thank you.